As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
BravBros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BravBros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Summer Shoots Magoots. What's up, dude?
It's funny you say summer shoots and goots because it is summer.
I know, it feels
It's
like it.
full-blown summer. It's golf season. I'm sore as shit. But yeah, it was like 90 degrees on my way here, and who needs a fall? Who needs a spring?
I am so thrilled that it's hot out. So I have this it's a tradition I only do by myself, and I don't even tell anybody about it. But
Yeah.
I save it.
Keep those to yourself, probably.
No, I save it for the first nice day of the year when it's 75, preferably 80 plus. I break out my jorts, and I'm sitting next to you in my jorts right now.
You are. It was a disturbing sight when I walked in your house.
I don't think
It
that's.
wasn't disturbing. It was just like,
It's jort season, baby. And the best part about these jorts is there's stretchy jegging jorts, so they're workout jorts.
Oddly enough,
So
that's
not
the worst
only
part.
watch your mouth. Not only are they becoming, but they're practical. And I am making a push to bring jorts back.
You realize that when you try to bring things back on this show, it doesn't work. When I bring things back, it always works.
Then help me out. Throw me a bone and let's bring
can't
back
do
jorts.
it. I
Why
can't
not?
do it.
Everything else is coming. Mullets are back. Mullets are cool
It's
again.
true.
So how far across the spectrum is mullets from jorts? I feel like they're one and the same. So why can't jorts make a comeback?
I think everybody chose mullets over jorts. I think they had an option. Instead of doing two and being a full-on overload, they just went with the mullets.
You can go one or the other.
Yeah.
They had a discussion. You know what actually is coming
Yeah.
back that people are talking about?
Wallpaper?
Well, yeah, that. But cargo pants.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
Oh my God.
We
Are we
had
going
a-
to see people out on golf courses with the zip off short pant thing?
Oh, the double johns?
Yep.
I don't know about that, but I do know that there's cargo not jeggings, I already used that word. Joggers. There's cargo joggers.
It's probably, and somebody's going to yell at us too because it's probably fashion, but
We are
no,
fashion.
God.
FASHUN.
Some stuff just needs to stay in the past, you know?
Not jorts.
Not jorts.
Not
Maybe
jorts.
not.
Oh, yeah, you're in agreement.
Yeah, I could see jorts coming back.
Anyway, it's jort season, so all of yous out there, if you are a brav bro yourself, you need to put on your jorts. Now, plug. Our live show is in 2 weeks at the City Winery, April 27th with Zach Peter. It's a hashtag no filter night out, so make sure that you go to any of our pages. The link is in the bio, so just go to our bio, get some tickets, and come hang out with us. The show is going to be about an hour and a half. We got some Bravo Lebs coming out. We're announcing them this week, I think. You guys are going to hear who's coming on.
Yeah. I think we decided before our next live with Zach next Wednesday,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Or maybe during it. Who
That's
cares?
when it'll come out.
It'll
But
pop up.
now that we're 2 weeks out, how are you feeling about it?
Fine. Entirely fine.
That's really anticlimactic.
Why?
Are you excited? For
Oh, well,
the
yeah,
show?
obviously. But I think you meant am I nervous?
No.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm excited for it. I'm not nervous.
I can't wait. And the thing that we're going to have to do, because we discussed it early on, what do we want out of the podcast?
Mhm.
We're crossing off my number one pretty shortly into this whole thing. We're not
Yeah.
even a year in. We're doing a live show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to think bigger next year. What could possibly be bigger?
Movie behind
It's interesting you brought that up.
the hot takes on VH1, the story about the BravBros.
The Behind the Bros.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
I don't know
that.
about that. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
That got a little
That
weird.
has a different implication, I suppose. Behind the scenes with the bros?
I don't know. This plug just turned into a butt plug.
And that's the perfect time to take us to our Rose and Thorn.
Yeah.
So, why don't you, do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
I'm going to go off because I'm going to do something a little fun.
I'm going to go off. All right, go off, Queen.
Go off. So obviously 2 weeks ago, we got our Kate R. Sharif
Ah, yes, of course.
memorial.
Of course.
Rose
Let me,
and
oh,
Thorn.
God, I'm sorry. Let me amend this.
Oh,
This
it's
is
okay.
our Rose and Kate R. Sharif.
It is.
The KRS, if you
Yeah.
will. Continue.
So kind of building off of that, and I was really thinking about it, and the way that she commented on it, she said it's just too gratuitous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
She
gonna
said
do-
that it was too self-indulgent and
Even better.
insufferable.
I'm going to do two roses now.
I love this.
I'm going to double up and make ourselves feel
A
much better instead
double
of bringing
rose.
it down. How about that?
I like that. Then maybe I should go first because I'm doing a thorn.
All right, go for the thorn then.
Yeah. Let me go first because I don't like to end it on a
Double
thorn.
rainbow.
Double rainbow, man. So I'm going to start off with my thorn. And it's a recurring theme this week and recently. And ever since kind of Vanderpump started, a lot of people have been using this as, I don't know if they're trying to come at us. I don't know if they don't have an actual argument and this is just an easy cop out, but whatever. So last night I posted a story to our Instagram about the Lala poll that was on Watch What Happens Live.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
It was so skewed. And like last week, there was another poll, or I think it was this week, there was another poll that seemed crazy skewed with Lindsay and Danielle, where I was like, what the fuck
Yeah,
is
and then
going
there was
on?
one last week, I think, again with VPR people. It's the polls are crazy.
They're insane. So a lot of people did comment on it and point out the people that watch Watch What Happens Live tend to watch when people are on it that they like.
Okay.
So they tend to lean more towards them, I guess, is what they said. That's logical to me. That makes sense. But anyway, it was about that poll, and I just posted and said these polls are fucking ludicrous. Like, they're insane. I don't understand where these votes are coming from. And somebody commented on and said, why? She's not a bridesmaid, so why should they have to go to every event? This is when men just don't get it.
I don't know. Do you want to get into what Lala said and just the whole thing?
I
kind of break this up. Like, it's ridiculous. She said that she was going to go, and then the moment that Katie was there, she took Katie's side and wasn't there for the bride of all people.
Correct.
The reason that you're there, you dodged out on multiple important events.
Correct.
So I don't really understand there's not much more to discuss.
There's not. But here's what pisses me off when it comes to like throwing out these men just don't get it. Men don't understand, blah, 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 with that whole thing. First of all, multiple people have agreed with us, many of them being women. Okay. Second of all, it's not a male train of thought. What it is a counterpoint to you. It's a different stance. We appreciate and accept openly all takes. If you have a take that is different than ours, we are happy to discuss it with you, but don't write us off and say, oh, they're just men, because it's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I just wouldn't even engage with somebody like that just because it's lazy. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna have a qualm with something that we say, at least give us some sort of evidence or tell us just how you feel. But don't say, oh, these men just don't get it. Like, that means nothing.
It does. Tell us why.
Yeah.
All right. If you say these men don't get it and tell us why, explain your thinking.
X, Y, and Z, then we will address X, Y, and Z. And if we don't agree, it's fine. Who cares?
Exactly. And we'll engage with you and discuss it. And we won't even get mad that you said that. We just want to know why. What's the why behind it? Yeah. You can be mean as you want to us. All right. We love it. Just tell us why.
Sadists.
Yeah. My rose is taking a different turn this week because it was mine. It's my comment. And
this is weird. This
I
is
know.
very self-indulgent.
This is super self-indulgent. This is my... So that was my Kadar Sharif. This is kind of a Kadar Sharif as well because we are being self-indulgent today. Okay. See what you did, Kate? This is what happens when you give us ammo.
There's no chance that she listens to. I guess she does.
She does if she knows Rose and Thorns. No,
yeah.
So she definitely listens. So like this is what happens. We run with
anymore.
it. And we're going to run with it forever. So there was a post. It was Teddy Mellencamp coming up with her taglines if she was let back on the show. Okay. Yeah, I know. You rolled your eyes, and rightfully so. And it said the caption was, what should be her tagline? And I said, even Gatorade can't quench this housewife's thirst.
That's good.
Or no, even Gatorade can't quench this thirsty housewife. Either way.
Yeah, either way.
Idea.
Yeah.
And look, I don't comment a lot. You're more of the commenter on Twitter sometimes. You have
that's good.
Quippier stuff. I was so proud of myself, and it got like a ton of likes, but I was like, you can't do better. No? I nailed it. I won the internet.
Did the Queens of Bravo comment on it?
Yeah, they said, oh my God, with like 10 or like 5 of those skull emojis. And then everyone else commented similarly, like, holy shit, this is the best. You win today. And so, you know what? My rose is me. Steele. That's my fucking rose.
That's good. No, that's great.
Baby.
Yeah, let's just keep this self-indulgent train going.
Yes.
I've got 2 more. First one comes from I'm going to do this one. This comes from AZKRAF. I don't think that's a word. Ascraft.
Arizona
Craft.
Craft.
Sure. It was a review on Apple Podcasts saying, I'm new to BravBros, but I love the energy and the tax reminders. Keep it going.
Dude.
Unfortunately, I can't keep reminding you about taxes because, well, actually, I guess I could.
Well,
One last chance. Tomorrow's the deadline.
No, it's the
Listen to it in the
18th.
morning. Why?
I don't know why,
do
but
it on Friday.
the 18th is the
Fucking
deadline.
government taking weekends off. Damn it. Whatever. That was great because we said that nobody was going to care. We got multiple messages saying thank you for the tax reminder. So you're welcome.
A lot of people did actually reach out and say thanks for the tax reminder. Which
You are welcome. My second one comes from TikTok. It's from Runaround Sue 73. 100%. I wish Joe would listen to what you are saying about our conversation about what Joe could do to just win by pointing everything at Louis. Which brings me to my next point.
Oh, you're going to say it. All right, do it.
After that video, we got a DM from one Melissa Gorga.
We sure did.
Agreeing with it and saying that she needs to train Joe better. And 5 minutes later, Joey Gorga followed us. So look, people call us tree stands. And maybe they don't as much anymore, but they did early in the Jersey season. We are not tree stands. We just laid out a nice, easy plan for Joe to win.
Yep.
Didn't trash them. Didn't do anything. Made a little bit of a jest talking about Pizzagate Part 2, brother, which I just wanted to do again. But that just shows everything. Like, we've ripped them apart. We've ripped Teresa apart. We've ripped Louis apart. And they're able to come in. So, you know what? That's a little plus in my book for the Gorgas.
That's a big W for us, a little W for the Gorgs. But that takes us on to the news. And there's obviously one major thing we're going to discuss. I'll save that for last. But up first, a franchise that we really enjoyed, a franchise that we've actually talked to multiple of the cast members multiple times, one of whom has been a listener of ours for before the show even aired, which was really cool to figure out. Soho, Southern Hospitality, is coming back for a season 2. How do you feel about that?
Pumped. It shows that Bravo's actually, one, listening to us, and two, differentiating from the Housewife franchise, because this has got to be taking up a slot when they could be throwing out RHONJ Legacy or Ultimate Girls Trip Ex-Wives Club 2 or whatever fucking below deck that they want to do down under in South America,
Below
whatever.
Deck Antarctica.
I would watch that.
I would watch that too.
I think I would watch that.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, put that in the bank for later.
Yep.
But no, I really enjoy the show. It shows that they're trying to reach a younger audience, which is what they need to do. And they're listening to us. So big plus for Bravo.
Yeah, big plus. I like that they're listening to the audience a little bit and kind of learning that we don't just want housewives all the time. We don't just want drama all the time. We want some of the younger generation to come in and just give us kind of a fresh take on stuff. Yep. So I'm stoked. We are still planning on going down there at some point. I actually talked to Joe Bradley the other day and also Will Culp.
Yeah, didn't they get in trouble? Because they were posting.
They reposted when we posted we posted congrats to the cast of Southern Hospitality. And I tagged a bunch of them, and I think 2 of them reposted it. And then Bravo got mad because they hadn't announced it yet, so they had to take it down. But
Bravo can get mad at us.
Yeah, get mad at us.
Don't worry about them. Leave them out of it. They're just kids. All right. Leave the kids out of this. All right.
BravBros rule number 1: leave the kids alone.
Come after us. We can handle it.
Yeah,
unless it's legal fees, then maybe.
Yeah, no. Then that's not us. That's not us, but we are planning on going down, so we'll keep you posted on that. Our second thing here is, what's your take on this watch party with Jax and Brittany? You can watch.
I can't imagine anybody asked for that.
Are they streaming? Like, is it live?
It's so Peacock is doing it, and they're going to do pretty much like any other watch party. They're going to have cameras in, I guess, the living room with Jax and Brittany and friends, is what I saw.
Oh, they're gonna have
who knows? Maybe Dodie will pop. I don't know who would be in that room.
I guarantee Dodie's gonna show up.
That was the first one that came to my mind. I was like, all right, so she'll be in there. But I imagine it's just gonna be like, watching reactions of people on YouTube that are reacting to another reaction video. It's just like too many layers. And also, Jax and Brittany aren't my favorite people, so I don't know who asked for this.
Yeah,
I don't know who's gonna watch it. I don't know.
Well, Jax and Brittany dropped their new podcast last week, and they were number 1 for a while.
So they're
2
really
weeks ago, maybe.
Good for them, honestly. If they're milking it and it's working, then go for it.
Well, they're all milking it. That's actually an interesting point
that
you're making. Is like every single member of that show is using this to their advantage on their socials, on their podcasts, like any avenue that they have to make money and monetize. They're using Scandival to do so. which points me further to what I've been saying all along. And when we get into Vanderpump, I'm only going to double, triple, and quadruple down on this. They all stink. They're all bad people. Like
Yeah.
they're like
No,
not.
they are. And I will take one thing away from this. I think it's good of Bravo because they have a lot of exclusivity on Peacock. So rather than like pumping this into the actual Bravo channel and making us watch this, they're making it an option. And it really is like, probably doesn't cost them anything to produce it.
I can't call it. They're
So
streaming,
just
right?
throw it in there. Yeah, they're just streaming it. So just throw it in there and see who wants to watch it and see what happens. It's honestly, it's sort of like a focus group to see if you want Jackson Brittany back. Like if that
Oh,
does shitty,
interesting.
if people aren't tuning in because they don't want the commentary from Jackson Brittany, then maybe you don't bring them back next year in any capacity. But I think they're probably mulling that over.
I want to see it, honestly. I kind of want to see the first episode to see how they're doing.
You
Like,
let me know how that goes.
I will. I'll do my due diligence, and if it's worth a watch, I'm gonna make you watch it. But it could be good. It honestly could be good. If Jax is good for anything, he's good for like saying really shitty stuff.
Yeah, but I think that they'll go overboard because, as we saw in Ex-Wives Club, they're thirsty for attention.
I agree with
They might
that,
go
but
too far
Jax,
with
here's
it.
the thing. Jax has always been thirsty for attention, so his game's not going to change. He's always tried to
hope
be
not.
that guy on camera. He said to Tom Sandoval, "You think you're the number one guy in this group. I'm the number one guy in this group."
Yeah, but I'm thinking about Watch What Happens Live with the two of them, and he was like giddy that he was back, and I feel like this is gonna be worse.
That could be. I'll watch it and I'll let you know. We'll see if we have to
Okay.
dive in. Okay. The last thing, and this might take a minute, and this is going to roll us right into Vanderpump. Unless you've been living under a rock, if you are a Bravo fan, then you saw that Howie Mandel interviewed Tom Sandoval. Howie Mandel has no connections to Bravo, doesn't know anything about Bravo, interviewed Tom Sandoval about all of this. And for all intents and purposes, it was a terrible interview. He let it go whatever way Sandoval wanted it to go. Sandoval was pretty much sitting there saying that he's a victim. It's not really his fault. Ariana should have seen the writing on the wall, so on and so forth.
Look, it was just bad. You know what I mean? Like Howie had no idea what was going on. From his point of view, it's a really bad job on him being a podcaster, being a whatever creator, by not understanding what he was getting himself into.
He literally said, "Who's Scheana?"
Yeah.
You
Like, if
need to
don't
know the
what's
characters.
at least like do some, like, I understand, like I've heard interviews in the past where people didn't really know who they were interviewing. They just kind of got passed around from show to show in their network. And they still did like at least the bare minimum. Like if you're friends,
Research.
supposedly he's friends with Tom.
That's the
Maybe-
connection, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe when Tom's name is in the news, you'll be like, oh shit, what's going on? And then read into it a little bit. Like it just seems like he's been living under a rock. Like you said to start off the segment, maybe he was living under a rock and he was just like, oh yeah, Tom, come on my show. It was so tone deaf in the beginning. He was talking about cardigans versus sweaters. He was posting Tom's tour dates for his stupid cover band. It was so bad. And then they finally got into it and we didn't really get anything. We just got Tom talking his ass off,
Yeah.
blaming Ariana, blaming the relationship, saying that he tried to get out and victimizing himself the entire time, instead of actually getting answers. Now, I mean, we're going to get answers during the reunion. We're going to get answers during the last couple of episodes. So let's just err on that. This was just a really bad showing by everybody involved.
I agree. And I want to talk about some specifics. And the first thing I want to talk about is Tom says that he tried on multiple occasions to break up with her. He said that they were actually legitimately broken up on Valentine's Day as the day he decided to do that. I also don't believe that that's true. And he said hypothetically they broke up prior to that. And he is implying that he gave so many signs that he figured the writing was so much on the wall that Ariana should have known that they were done. You should have known that this was over. Like, what the fuck does that even
not
mean?
like them living together and going to parties and stuff together.
They've
and
been
doing
dating for
everything.
9 fucking years.
You're not telling anybody else. And look, like Schwartz is probably going to come out in the next week or two and tell everybody like, oh yeah, Tom did tell me that he tried to break up with her and it really wasn't working. So as far as we understood, they were separated or whatever. Like Schwartz is going to back him up, but it's going to be bullshit. But he was trying to get on this whole thing about how they've been living separate lives and they would text each other from within their own house. And if you watched our live last night, we kind of dug into all this, but he was on the road with his stupid ass band.
Yeah.
Going all over the place. He didn't even have time for his own restaurant, which is so funny because it looks like next week's episode, he gets mad at the manager because the restaurant's not going to open. Dude, you haven't been around. Schwartz isn't smart enough to do this himself, and nobody else is helping. You dropped the ball on all of this, and you're just blaming everybody else but yourself. Like, that is just kind of who Sandoval is now.
Yeah.
He's just going to blame everybody but himself. Not once during this interview did he take ownership for what he did in the relationship to Ariana.
He didn't. He actually
He never even
sidestepped it the whole
apologized
time.
to her, too. He still hasn't apologized to
He
her.
never said sorry. In that one half-ass apology that he wrote, it alluded to him the entire time. It was about him. Here we have him talking only about him. And he says that he was worried that when he told her, like, this isn't working, I don't want this, or blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, well, then I'm quitting the show. I'm not going to the reunion. And my life is basically over. What he's implying is that she's going to do self-harm. And here's the thing. I'm not here to say whether or not that's true. I'm not here to comment on that aspect of it. Regardless of the truth in that, how the fuck are you going to go out and air out this woman that you've been dating for 9 years, have a house with, built a life with, built a business with, and throw her under the bus with that kind of allegation? Like, that is heavy shit. That's stuff that she's probably, like, she's been pretty open about the fact that she's had some issues with her depression and things like that. For you to then use that as ammo against her is atrocious. And to say it on the fucking Howie Mandel show, I'm looking at this bald dude with fucking circle glasses as you sit there and say, she's going to self-harm if you break up with her. Like, this is not the time or place. You need to go on this fucking show and apologize, dude.
Yeah.
Say, I fucked up. What I should have done from the jump is break up with her.
Yep.
Say, this is not working anymore, and break up, and then go do your business. Is it still gross? Yeah, dude, it's fucked up. Go for anybody else, not Raquel. But for you to sit there and take any other approach other than, I'm sorry, I'm a piece of shit, I'm working on it, is the wrong fucking answer.
Yeah. And honestly, look, you're going to lose. You've lost everybody. Nobody's on your side. You might be able to get some sympathy if you owned up to your actions, apologized first, and then when people ask you pointed questions, then you might be able to allude to the fact that the relationship was pretty much dead and there was nothing you could do and you were in an impossible spot. If you went around that way, which, look, like, we give him a lot of credit for being maniacal and having all these strategies in place, where whether he's using Schwartz as a pawn or his actions are, try to put a smoke screen out there so that nobody knows what he's actually doing or what he's actually thinking. We give him a lot of credit for being smart like that. This was really dumb.
This was really dumb.
And honestly, I blame Sandoval, obviously, but I blame Howie Mandel for this because he didn't ask him more questions and he didn't try to make Tom apologize. He made him feel super comfortable.
He said
was
to
joking around with him, and then he did the shaving of the mustache at the end. It was so weird.
He shaved the mustache.
Wrong.
He empathized with him.
Yep.
He said, I actually appreciate you coming on here and being vulnerable and blah, blah, blah. He's not being vulnerable. He's putting up a smoke screen so that we can't see past it, so that he might garner some kind of sympathy from the audience and the listeners.
But no one's giving him sympathy, and that's
why
the thing.
the fuck
thank
would you?
God that not one person came to his defense, or at least, like, from the posts that I saw, everybody was just trashing him. Again, just apologize. Finally, do a heartfelt apology on a podcast. People won't even care that it's the Howie Mandel show anymore.
No.
Because they'll just focus in on you apologizing, finally, and then explaining a little bit of how you felt. And if you truly were, which, like, I'm giving him, I don't want to give him any grace, but if you truly were in an impossible situation, some people might be able to see that and be like, that sucks. Did you hook up with somebody really close to her? Yes, that's completely wrong. But you might be able to find some sympathy somewhere. And everything that happened, he's not getting shit. And he's not going to get anything from the reunion either.
He's not going to. And I don't know who his PR team is. They need to fire them immediately.
Well, Bravo's pissed at him.
Bravo's livid. And to anyone thinking that Sandoval is going to get fired or get any kind of, like, major repercussions from this, you're wrong. Because, and we said it on the live, but Bravo is thrilled that this all happened. They could give a shit about, like, who got hurt during this. All they're looking at is the fact that Vanderpump ratings have never been higher.
Yeah.
They're stoked.
Yep.
Scandoval just bought them 3 more seasons easily. So if you think he's going anywhere or Raquel's going anywhere, they're not. They're going to milk this shit for the next 2 seasons, I bet.
No, and I honestly, I was thinking about this before, because it does come into play that you have to worry about Ariana from a exposure standpoint. Like, if Bravo was just running with this and Bravo leaked all of this, then you might have to look inward and be like, oh shit, like maybe we do have to like protect her a little bit because it is getting to be a media circus. Obviously, we don't care about Sandoval. Go ahead, swarm him paparazzi. It sounds like they call the paparazzi on themselves, him and Raquel. But you got to worry about Ariana. And I mean, CNN picked up the story. Like so many people picked up the story. So Bravo's just doing their job at this point. They don't really have to feel sorry for anybody. They're stoked that this is working. It seems like Ariana's coming back next year. She's probably going to get a little bit of a longer contract. We're going to get a little bit more from her, and it's going to be great. And they can't be happier. But as we discussed last night, I just hope they don't milk it for too long. Like if we're 2-3 years down the line and we're still talking about this, VPR is going to be dead.
Yeah, but I think they're obviously going to reference it for a long time.
For sure,
Hopefully they have other avenues to go down, which I think they do. That's the one thing about Vanderpump, and I think that's why they've been waiting for this kind of perfect storm, because the characters on the show are captivating. I think they've kind of gotten lost in the sauce in the past couple of years, but this is a good reminder when all this shit's popping off and you're watching the season play out, like they're captivating. Like it is a captivating cast, including the people we don't like. Even if we don't like them, like they're good for television. There's no denying that. So let's roll right into it. And we're back at the pool. We're like in the during the makeout, kind of post makeout scene or whatever.
I have a proposal for you.
I do.
Beautiful. You have to move past it. Why don't we go through this episode acting like we don't know about the Sandoval thing? Because I was watching the episode and I was having a hard time. Obviously, Schwartz, it was a really bad episode for him. But still, I found myself thinking about Sandoval.
Yeah, that's fair. But okay, I agree with that. But we do. So we're going to speak about it from the standpoint that we don't know about Sandoval.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Tom wasn't really in this episode at all.
No, but that's why in the moments where there are things to kind of focus on with that, we're going to take a sidestep and address that. But then so the point of view is that we don't know about Sandoval. I like
Just
that.
Because over the next couple of weeks, it looks like we're starting to get into it.
Yeah, I think we're about to.
So as we get into it, that's all we're going to talk about. And I think like the editing process, there really isn't anything there for them to do, even though we know that they supposedly snuck away and hooked up while they were in Mexico as well.
That's what people are saying, yeah.
But there's no evidence
Well,
of
he
that
said
happening
that.
anywhere.
Didn't he say that when? No, he said that on Howie Mandel. He did. Yeah.
Pretty
So
sure he
Mexico's confirmed.
So Mexico's confirmed because they hooked up before Mexico. Then they may have had a thing down in Mexico.
They had a magnetic kiss in my backyard. It was so fucking magnetic.
And next week it looks like we're home, so we're not going to get anything from that. So that's what I'm saying. Like we've got like 1 or 2 weeks left of this. Let's focus on what the storyline should be right now.
Okay.
And see how we feel about it, because I don't want to take away from how shitty Schwartz was this episode.
We're not going to.
By deviating to Sandoval, who wasn't really in the episode. You know what I mean?
All right. I like this. Okay.
Exercise.
All right. Let me just get in the zone.
Get in there.
You hear that? That's me getting in. I'm zoned in, baby. All right. So let's start it off. We're back at the pool. We're in a different mindset. We're back at the pool. Schwartz and Raquel just make out in front of the entire party.
Yep.
The whole party. So regardless of if you think that you should have free reign to do what you want, regardless of whether or not you're over your divorce with Katie, this is a terrible, terrible look. It's a terrible fucking idea. And then to double down and kind of go off with her and hide to make out some more and say, don't tell anybody. Motherfucker, you're on camera. What do you think that big thing that guy's holding in front of you is? Who's not going to know about this?
And that made me think that a couple of weeks ago at Sandoval's show that they were going, Schwartz would have hooked up with her.
Yeah,
The camera wasn't there because you could see him make eye contact with the camera.
And then he like quickly was like,
oh no. But
no,
now he's drunk in Mexico and he's like, well, let's go over here where there's no cameras. Like the cameras will follow you, bro.
We get a quick cut scene. And here's one thing. Here's one thing I want to point out. And this is sidestep to Sandoval. So while she goes to a confessional with Rachel and she's sitting there saying, I could see this going somewhere. Like, I have feelings for him. Like, oh my God. That is a confirmed lie because we know for a fact she is now involved with Sandoval at this point. Okay.
Now, maybe it's not heating up yet. Because if we're to take them at face value, they've only hooked up once.
But to take them at face value, that first kiss was like explosive. It was like a Disney movie at the end of the movie, according to Sandoval.
Raquel said anything about it?
No. We haven't heard from her yet. Maybe she'll go on like the Howie Mandel podcast or something. Or who would be a better one for her?
Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson. Go on Randy Jackson's
Paula
podcast,
Abdul.
Rachel. Paula, do they have podcasts?
I don't think so, but I'm just going from America's Got Talent to
American Idol. Oh, you're
American
picking
Idol.
judges. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay, yeah. If they have a podcast, go on there. But Scheana calls Lala, and I'm going to roast Lauren this episode because I thought she was awful. And she calls Lala and says, first, where were you? What happened? And she gives her the most, like, it was such a dick answer. She's like, I went to dinner, I went back to the room. Like, matter of fact. Like, what do you think I'm doing?
Yep.
There was a party of 200 people. 200 people.
Of which you wore a white dress for, by the way.
Correct.
You were dressed for that party.
So you can't sidestep it to go to dinner with your buddies in Mexico. And
we're not invited.
They got uninvited, actually. So, like, you're there for that. It's a destination wedding. I understand you're going to sidestep some things and go do your own thing. It's a vacation kind of as well. I appreciate that. But when you sit there and you say, I can go to the big shit, Scheana, I can't do the intimate stuff because I don't want to be near her, but I can go to the big shit for you to not do that is, one, you're a liar. Two, you're fucking over your best friend, allegedly, because you want to hang out with Katie and Christina Kelly. You're there for Scheana. It is Scheana's day. It's Scheana's weekend. So suck it up and go to the fucking thing. Raquel's going to be on the other side of the party. You don't have to seek her out. Just do your own thing and shut the hell up. Support your friend. You don't come out here looking like you did the right thing by hanging out with Katie. And for anybody that voted on that poll, like, I'm on Lala's side, that's dumb. This is rude. It's flat out rude. I don't care who it is. I don't care what you're doing. If you're in a destination spot for a wedding and you say to them, I will be there, I'll be at the big shit because I'm not going to the intimate shit, then fucking show up. Just show up for your friend because it makes you look like shit. Scheana is supposed to be happy. It's the happiest day of her life, and they look happy. Her and Brock look great together. I was so stoked they got married, genuinely. So, Lauren, bite the bullet and go, and do not take up an attitude with Scheana when she asks you where you were.
Yeah. And that was like the worst thing that she could have asked her. Like, where were you when you're supposed to be at my party? Maybe the second most important event of the weekend, something that you got dressed up for and came down for and ended up just hanging out with your buddies 50 yards away, watching them do that. Like, you could have just done what James did. James went, hung out for a little bit. James and Allie were there, and then they came back. Like,
correct.
Obviously, you are still friends with Katie. That's going to be a sticking point when it comes to your friendship with Scheana. Mm-hmm. But if you're able to spread those two lines and go there and be there with Scheana for her big moment, and then you can go hang out with your friends afterwards. No one's going to do anything. Like, will Scheana still be upset? Maybe. If she calls you later and says, oh, you know, we went to the bar afterwards, where'd you go? And you said, well, I went back to my room and Katie and Christina came over. That's fine. If Scheana gave you an attitude then you can be like, look, Scheana, like, I told you that I'm doing this. I went to the boat, even though I told you I had an issue with the boat. I went to the party. I was fine at the party. I went and hung out with them. Like, I didn't feel like going to the bar afterwards. If Scheana gives you an attitude then, you are in the right. Lala. What you did was wrong, Lauren. So no, you can't do that, and you can't get an attitude with someone who you claim is now one of your best friends. It just doesn't make any sense. And I love, this was completely organic, that Lauren has her on the phone, on speakerphone. Yeah. And Scheana just goes, well, you know what, whatever. Did you see that Schwartz and Raquel hooked up?
I know. And
boom,
I felt...
heart drop for Katie. That sucks.
Yeah, dude, I felt for her.
Yeah, no, that was definitely brutal. And you could see James was even like losing his mind a little bit. Like, both of them in the room hearing that was pure gold.
Well, that's the funny thing. We forget that James is just as much a party to this as Katie. He's just not taking it as hard because he started dating somebody 2 weeks after they...
Oh, Katie's dating a 28-year-old weird looking dude.
I know. We get to see him next week.
By the way, did they get him in Mexico or are they back in LA?
They got to be back in LA.
Okay, all right.
They got to be back in LA because the wedding's over, so they fly back.
God, I hope so. Could you imagine if that guy was in Mexico the whole time?
I would have liked that more than just seeing like Christina Kelly and Katie like pal around, but then Katie gets up and leaves and goes back to her room, and like I felt horrible for her. And this was actually a good reminder for me because like people were saying, oh, what are you on Sheena's side when I posted the poll thing? Mm-hmm. No, not necessarily at all. I'm on Sheena's side with Lala being an asshole, but as far as like being mean, Brock goes on the phone and goes, people just want to see Schwartz happy. All right, man, but what about Katie?
But I don't think that Scheana and Schwartz didn't know that she was on, that they were on speakerphone with Katie sitting right there.
So he was but he's being candid there. But that's my point. Like, that means that was a genuine thought and genuine feeling. Like, we just want to see Schwartz.
I think that just solidifies what Katie has already said, and it makes it so much more true. And hearing it out loud is tough. She knows that all of these people around her that are on this show, all these friends, are taking Schwartz aside.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. Certainly not anymore. But in that moment, they are absolutely rooting for Schwartz. They want him to be happy. Obviously, Brock marrying Scheana is not going to take Katie's side, but they still want Schwartz to be happy. And I think that everybody wants Schwartz to be happy. And I do feel for Katie because she's, friendly with most of them, friends with some of them. And nobody's even checking in on her except for Christina Kelly and Lala.
Correct.
So that sucks for Katie.
But I do want to just, reiterate, like, that fucking sucked for Katie. I know I've said some things that I don't particularly like Katie, but nobody deserves that shit. That was brutal. But the next thing I want to talk about is the counterpoint. Like I just mentioned, Schwartz finally wakes up the next day after making out with Rachel and goes down to the pool, and it's James and Allie. And he goes up to them like nothing happened, which is hysterical. Does he? And I don't think he does. Like, do you not get that James was engaged to this woman? James didn't call it off either. Rachel did.
Yeah.
So he's clearly still hung up on her. You're going to sit down, and James immediately asks him, he goes, I didn't do that. He denies it. And then he says, yeah. And then he's like, James, be cool, dude. Like, come on, man. Like, he's trying to like rationalize with James because James starts to get an attitude when he puts his hand on his knee. It's like, don't put your
even then in that moment. And I've been trying to look at Schwartz a little differently after us talking last week, trying to give him a little more credit, thinking that maybe he is being smart and just kind of playing it off and playing up his dumb characteristics to get away with shit. And I could see that right then and there. He did the whole like careless, no, I don't think I did that. Oh yeah, maybe I did. Like, made it a joke. Didn't diffuse the situation. James still pissed off. Puts his hand on his knee. James is still pissed off. But then by the end of it, Schwartz said something to James about Raquel and made a joke about it. And James left. So it fucking worked by the end of it. Like, he has a way of diffusing situations by being dumb and goofy that he thinks that I think you're right. And I think Devin's right because she's the one who said it last week, that he is so dumb and goofy that he knows that he can get away with this shit. And now he's just using it to his advantage, whether he knows it or not, whether he's strategically doing this or he's just done this his whole life. So now he knows that it works and people can't be mad at him. And we see it later. Like, he tries to do it again with Katie after he spurned her. And then
we see it more so. I think that was more evidence that this is more calculated than we think, because he starts to escalate. She's not calming down, and then he gets pissed. I think that if you watch back, we've seen that happen countless times. When he poured a drink on Katie, does that happen?
Yeah.
You see it escalate. Like, he tries to diffuse, then he gets mad when it doesn't work, and then he lashes out. And I think that that's his move. And I think that that is clearly questionable behavior, but that's inherent in who he is. That is Tom Schwartz.
For sure.
So he is calculated, he's manipulative, and he's playing that little, once again, that stupid puppy dog shit. And this is glaring evidence. But we move on from that, and we get a scene. Scheana finally sits down with Lala, and they're kind of going over Sheena's feelings about the night before. She's saying, I really wanted you there. It hurt my feelings that you weren't there. And Lala goes on this tirade about how she's not in a place to be around people like Rachel. Meanwhile, she said she wasn't going to the party before Rachel made out with Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay. So she has no ammo other than...
They didn't know that Rachel they were sitting 50 yards away and had no idea until they got back to Lala's room.
And got the phone call. Right. So your qualm with her is that she posited the idea that she wanted to do it. You're telling me that you can't show up for your friend and suck it up and go to this party once again with 200 plus people? You're not going to see her. It's going to mean the world to your friend if you're there. Pop in for 20 or 30, pop out. I don't think that would be an issue either. Just show face, act like you give a shit. And then she says one of the worst things I've ever heard somebody say to a bride in my life. This is not the most important thing in everyone else's life. This is only important to you. What are you doing?
It's like, I'm here on vacation. I don't care about you. I just happen to be going to your wedding.
Yeah, everyone else has shit going on, Scheana. Don't be so selfish.
Like, I think that she's mistaking, like, Sheena's trying to be inclusive. She's trying to show, look, you're one of my closest friends. Like, we've grown a lot in the past couple of years. Like, we feel better. Like, they had that whole moment with Brock, Scheana, and Lala at the restaurant before they left for Mexico, where Lala apologized to Brock, and Brock apologized to Lala, and they all got along. And
They
it
were
was great.
crying with
They
each
were all
other.
crying together. Like, they had a great moment. And Scheana said, okay, like, you're one of my closer friends. I want you to be a part of this. I'm inviting you to enjoy this experience with me. And Lala is sitting there like, no, you're pushing me to get out of my comfort zone and go to these things. And then you're mad at me when I don't go to these things. It's like, well, no, she just wants you there. So I don't understand. Like, if I'm Scheana, I feel betrayed, and maybe I exclude Lauren in the future from things. Because if she's showing that she doesn't want to go to the things that are important to you, and she has the audacity to say something like that to you on your wedding weekend, then don't invite her to anything else moving forward.
The day before the wedding.
And you know what? Like, this is where I don't understand. Like, Bravo people are just not normal people. If this was anyone else, like, that you're loosely friends with, trying to build a relationship with, and something like this happens, you do not invite them to anything moving forward. And then if they reach out to you and say, well, I saw that everybody was going there, like, why wasn't I invited? You tell them why they weren't invited.
Yeah.
You wait for them to reach out and say, look, like, I know I behaved shittily. That's a word.
Shittily.
That's a word. I will try to be better. You know, I'll come over and we can talk about it. Then you show who your true color, or what your true colors are. Lauren is showing her true colors, and they are brown and green.
Brown and green.
Brown and green.
Okay, that's gross,
Poop.
but I know I got it.
And baby poop.
Yeah, no, I got it. Thank you so much for laying that
Too
out.
many peas.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just pound it at home.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the whole scene really pissed me off, and then she started like crying because she was so triggered by the whole situation. And again, like, don't sit there at a lunch where you and Brock share a very touching moment and say, I'm there for you, girl. I'm going to go to these things. I'm going to do the big things because I know I need to be there and you want me there and I appreciate it. Intimate stuff, I'm out, but I'm going to do the big stuff. And then bounce from the big stuff. And then she's like, are you coming to dinner? She's like, nah, not going to dinner either. And that's when we get this split scene of the dinners. But that's the funniest fucking part. They were done dinner by the time Lala went to dinner.
Yep.
You could have done both. Again, you're just being a shitty friend. The other thing, if she went to that dinner, there were multiple hibachi tables for the entire party that was going. So you could have sat elsewhere. You could have grabbed one of the other girls and been like, hey, can you sit with me over here? I don't want to be at that table. But hey, Scheana, look, I'm here. I'm across the room. I showed up for you. I know I wasn't there last night, but I'm here.
If she went to the white party the night before, she may not have gone to that dinner.
Then that's
not important.
And that's also more intimate. Then you would have held your word. You would have held on to your word, which is important to people and friendships. Don't lie. And that's when people are saying, oh, men, you guys, it's a man stance. No, she said, I'll be there. And she wasn't fucking there. That's rude. Period.
Yeah.
But, ooh, we're just getting started, baby.
Man stance.
Man stance. But at the dinner, we get James going off on Raquel. And, dude, you need to stop. Because he's like, you know, who else you going to hook up with? You know, Peter, and then you hooked up with Schwartz and blah, blah, blah. But this is when I figured out something about Allie. Allie just wants to be on the show.
Why do you say that?
Because who else would put up with this much shit? And she's good enough to get up from the table and walk away. And she just says, I'm bored. She says, I'm bored with the situation. That means that she's not getting emotional about it. She doesn't seem to have an attitude about it. I'm pretty sure that 90% of anybody in a relationship, whether it's a guy or a girl, if they were talking about their ex constantly, anybody would be like, fuck this, I'm done. Or like, dude, knock it off. There would be a much sterner conversation. Instead, she's just kind of brushing it off. And that leads me to believe she just wants to be on the show.
The show does have a track record with people jumping on the show because they want to be on the show.
Yes,
they
it
will
does.
eat shit for an entire year if they have to, just to remain on the show. Now, I mean, do you think that Allie has had a strong enough showing to be invited back if she's not James's girlfriend? Probably not, unless they have some tumultuous breakup where she shows some sort of like fierce behavior towards him and maybe pulls in some of the other people on the cast. Aside from that, I can't imagine they would want her back if they break up in the offseason.
I see her wheeling and dealing, though, because she gets up, and where does she go?
I think you're right. No, I definitely think you're right. I just don't think that she's done enough on her own.
I think she has promise. I think that I've enjoyed her, actually. I think that her one-liners are funny. If she stayed away from the astrology shit, we'd be golden.
She has.
She has since then. I just mean she needs to continue to do that.
In Summer House.
Oh, dude, we'll get there. But after the dinner, and this was an extra long episode of Vanderpump, too.
Yeah, it was.
That's when we get. I gotta talk about it. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
We get a mention of Shooter's favorite, the Don. The Don's back. And then we get a clip of my favorite scene, him talking dirty again.
No, it's another scene of him talking dirty. Same scene, different clip.
Yeah, no.
This time we're talking about honeycombs, not pizza.
I've heard the honeycomb. Oh, and it's sticky.
Oh, we know. We saw
sticky.
the whole first thing.
Blech.
The whole first thing when they were in wherever the fuck they were, Manassas, Havasu.
Yeah. Manavasu.
We saw the whole thing. It was disgusting. I kind of wiped it from my memory, but they keep bringing it back in little portions, and I hate it.
Do they think it's sexy? Like,
yes.
Why? He's not good at dirty talking.
I don't know, but why is everybody else calling him the Don?
I don't know.
I put it out. I said something on Twitter. I said, I know this is a big VPR time. I'm having a hard time with it because all I keep thinking about is why everybody calls him the Don.
I get stuck on it too, and it's your fault I get stuck on it. I'd be able to brush it off.
Like you definitely would have noticed it by now.
I would have, but I probably
like, what's going on?
You're holding on to it more than I would have.
It's ridiculous.
I agree, it's ridiculous.
Somebody said it was a pet name, and I said, please. I asked for you to explain it in a way that wouldn't piss me off. You couldn't even give me that.
I just wanted to drop the name because I knew it gets you riled up. But then we get Scheana. Scheana and Brock have been married for almost a year, which I loved finding that out. That means that all the stuff that we've seen with them interacting and everything has been them as a married couple.
Yes.
Look, say what you want about Scheana, say what you want about Brock. They seem to have a loving marriage.
I think so too.
They seem to be very attentive parents to Summer. Again, I cannot get on Team Brock until I know what the fuck's going on with his kids back home. I just can't condone it until I get more information. But from what we're getting from them right now, I do appreciate their relationship. They seem to actually like each other, which nobody else in this show seems to. So
good point.
It's refreshing, but it's wedding time. Here comes the bride. Scheana is getting married to Brock, and it is objectively a gorgeous wedding.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated because we get, Christina Kelly and Katie come out to the porch, and Christina clearly wants to, I think she's mad she's not there.
I think so too. And we could tell because she had to sit down with Scheana. She's been trying to kind of dumb it down. Like she hasn't really been talking shit. Like Katie's been talking a lot of shit, and that's okay because it's mostly about Schwartz now.
Yeah.
But even when they're sitting there talking about the wedding, Katie's the one who says, I don't want to be there and I don't want to look at it because of whose wedding it is. Christina Kelly says, well, I love weddings. Like out of curiosity, I just want to see like where she's walking from, what she looks like. Like, no, it looks like Christina Kelly wishes that she was there.
I think she wishes that. But I do think that it was nice that Katie could go out there and say, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
She looks beautiful.
Yeah, they didn't shit talk it because they led us to believe before the Mexico trip when we were having the discussion about whether or not Katie and Christina should even go, that it looked like they were sitting up in the balcony talking shit.
Yeah, they were not.
And they were not.
No, and that was...
I was good with that.
I am too. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't make that worse.
Yeah, no, it's come full circle where we were mad about it to begin with, and now I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. But during the wedding ceremony and everything, I thought it was really funny that the guy that led the wedding, one, this is his second time doing a Scheana Shay wedding, and two, he leads it off with... a second chance at love.
Yeah.
It's like, is that supposed to be endearing?
It would have been funnier if he said, welcome back, everybody.
Oh, man, he missed an opportunity. Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You've been saving that? Or is that off the... Oh, okay, never mind. But there's only a couple things I want to talk about here. Lala's questions to James. Lala just wants to fuck James.
Mm-hmm.
Lala Kennedy, see? I can't even help it.
Look at that.
Lala just wants James back because... Why would you ask James? First of all, why would you blow up his spot and say, yeah, he was asking me like a week ago if he could get engaged to you? And I was like, what the fuck? And Allie's standing right there. I was like, whoa, that's messed up. And then she doubles down and goes, what are you thinking, Palm Springs? Because that's where he proposed to Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Obviously, he's not thinking of proposing to his second fiance in the same exact spot as his first fiance. And James gets visibly like, what are we doing? What are you doing?
It's tough to see James do that because I feel like he is... I don't think he's prepared for every instance, but when things happen, his reaction always seems so genuine and he never really seems like he's getting crossed up. Yes, he says crazy shit. Yes, he will bounce off the walls and not make any sense, but he always seems like he's not caught off guard.
He always fires back. Always.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this time he was completely caught off guard and he's like, no, obviously it's a different thing. I wouldn't do the same thing as I did last time. I'm over that. I'm past that. It's a different person. It was a weird, genuine response from James. Mm-hmm. That was not insulting, but at the same time, like, Lauren, what are you doing?
It was baffling.
It made no sense.
It does make sense, though, because she wants to bang James.
Yeah, I think.
Or is she just jealous?
Maybe she's just jealous that he's happy, or like,
okay,
he
maybe
seems happy.
Or is it that she doesn't necessarily want to boink him, but she doesn't want anybody else to boink him?
I think that's also.
Is that also tying in? I like that.
All of the
I like
above.
that. We have the dinner. Christina, Kelly, and Katie are having sushi. Schwartz stumbles his way in, and he's trying to clear the air. Strike one, he eats their food. Yeah. He sits down and eats a piece of their sushi.
Trying to diffuse the situation with some weird comedy.
You need to understand when you walk. First of all, don't go in there. Stay at the wedding. You're not going to bridge this gap. But I'm going to finish this segment with a very, very controversial take. Okay?
No.
Just a heads up to you and to our listeners. It's going to be a hot take. And I don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to roll with it. But anyway, you can't come into this situation trying to diffuse it. You can't come in. You need to, once again, both Toms, apologize. If you're going to do anything, don't go in there. But if you're going to, walk in and say, Katie, I'm mortified. That was disrespectful. It threw everything that we were working on out the window, which they probably shouldn't have been working on anything anyway because they're divorced, but whatever. I am at your feet. Please, can we have a relationship moving past this at some point at your leisure? Instead, he tries to diffuse it and minimize it.
Yeah. Oh, are you still mad? I think is what his first line was.
I want to clear the air. I don't want there to be weird tension, is what he said.
Yeah. And then I think he followed up with, oh my God, you're really still mad? Like, just trying to gaslight her into it.
And this is when we see, that's exactly when we see who Schwartz really is in this moment at that hibachi restaurant, because his little antics don't work and he instantly gets mad. He instantly starts poking her and trying to get her to react so that he doesn't look like the bad guy. You know what you need, Katie? You need some humility. You need humility. Bitch, what are you talking about, Schwartz? You need some fucking humility. You just made out with a person in the group at the wedding in front of everybody while Katie's there, and both you and Rachel have sat down with this woman and said to her, nothing's going to happen. We're not into it. Rachel, I was into it, but it's not going to work. Schwartz isn't into it. And then you fucking do it. You cannot then hope that this situation gets better. And he just fucking sits there and gaslights and gaslights and gaslights. And it's hard to watch, but it's great to see. And here's my controversial take.
Okay.
Them making out, him and Rachel, was the best thing for Schwartz and Katie as individuals.
That's not that hot of a take.
Because Schwartz was able to move on. I don't care if he does or does not. He even
said that. Yeah, he said, like, I finally feel divorced.
Right. And Katie says something similar. She's able to actually heal. So,
oh, man, you disappoint me.
How is that disappointing? I thought it was going to be,
like, way more hot. I thought you were going to take Schwartz's side or something at the end.
No. Don't even, like, say that over the air. Someone's going to, like, dub this.
That would have been a hot take.
A hot take is the fact that I'm glad that they made out. That's not a hot take? Hold on.
At base level, yeah, if you just say that, but the reasoning is pretty sound.
Because they can move on. Katie's able to move on and see this man for what he is. He's a piece of shit, Katie. And look, I don't care about anybody's feelings towards Katie. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve to have him slight you like that, disrespect you and all of your years together like that, and then come out unscathed with people cheering about him. That has to really fucking hurt.
Oh, no, it definitely hurts, yeah.
Katie, go out there and bang weird-looking 28-year-olds. I'll try to not talk so much shit because I really felt for you this episode.
God, unless that guy says something crazy next week, we'll try to leave him out.
We'll do our best. We'll give you some grace. We'll give you some grace because that was brutal. We're almost done. This is crazy. This is taking like a half hour for one fucking show.
Like a whole VPR episode.
I know. This is going to be called VPR episode.
Yep.
But we finish it with Rachel and Lauren at the wedding. And this conversation did not need to happen. Nobody needed to talk to one another. They could have just let it alone. There's not going to be any agreement here. But once again, Lala, aka Lauren, did something that I thought was impossible in this scenario. She comes out looking bad because she goes in there and they're talking about the Havasu trip, and Rachel says that she felt like she was ganged up on, she was attacked, she was judged.
Which she was, all three.
All of them. She heard her. She sat there at the door and listened to them talk shit about her.
Surprisingly, Bravo did not do her dirty. They showed the instances in which she was correct.
Yeah, and they could have done her dirty, but they didn't. But Lala does one of the things that, like, it really gets under my skin is when they're like, you just don't remember. You don't remember, but like you were unhinged. You were unglued. You were all over the place. And she's like,
Which
no, you
in the
guys were
same instance,
judging.
she was also saying, well, it was Vegas and you were with your friends. Like, of course you were having fun. And of course you got drunk. Of course you did this. And we had a really nice moment in the car. It's like, if you remember correctly, you ripped her apart that night when you quote unquote say that she was in Vegas and it was okay. You ripped her apart immediately after the car ride in which she had a real mental breakdown.
Yep.
Probably because she was hooking up with Sandoval. We're allowed to sidetrack there. Come back. You ripped her apart immediately afterwards after watching her have a really vulnerable moment when she's probably still a little fragile. For you to turn around now and say, we had a really touching moment. Of course you're allowed to do that. And then also gaslight her in the same situation makes no sense.
Literally everything she was doing was trying to incite some kind of reaction out of Rachel. She was trying to get her to escalate the situation by saying that everything that you're saying to me, Rachel, is wrong. You just don't remember because you were too fucked up and it was embarrassing, but you're allowed to do that because it's in Vegas. But by the way, it was embarrassing, but you just don't know. We weren't judgy at all. That was the judgiest shit I've ever seen. That was the mean girl shit that's what we've been talking about all season. That's when it started. So congratulations, Lauren. In a scenario in which this woman just made out with a recently divorced man while his ex-wife is sitting at the dinner table 50 yards away, you still managed to come out looking like shit.
Yeah. Shooter here to talk to you guys about ZocDoc. Now, look, if you're anything like me, you gotta obsess over TikTok videos. I go to our videos, I watch me and Steele talk about reality shows over and over again. And then before I know it, I am into hour 6 of watching either golf drills or dogs or cats or really anything. Honestly, I find new interests all the time when I go down that social media rabbit hole. And ZocDoc is definitely here to help. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. Surprise Twist might work for podcasts, but not for medical care. With ZocDoc, there are no alarms, no surprises. Choose from thousands of patient-reviewed doctors and specialists, browse doctor profiles, upload and verify your insurance information, and get the care that you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/bros and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/bros.
That takes us to Summer House, and it wasn't too eventful of an episode. We finally get, I think, the first blow up between Danielle and Lindsay that's going to lead to this being kind of an all-out battle between the two. But we started out with some happy news, and we talked to Carl, so we knew that this was coming. I think it was also on Instagram for a while, but Carl is going to propose to Lindsay at the end of the summer. What I loved about this scene was that Kyle was just happy for him.
Yeah.
Kyle just said, congrats, man. That's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. No, and you can see that they're in a much better place. And I imagine that both the conversation that Kyle and Carl had, as well as the conversation that Amanda and Lindsay had, as painful as it was, has gotten the whole group kind of on the same page, if you will. And you can tell when Carl is inviting other people over to their apartment because they really haven't had anybody over and they want to have a little bit of a housewarming. Kyle's already invited. He's now inviting, I guess, Chris and Sierra and pretty much everybody else that's in the city. So you can see that everybody's in a much better place and we are moving past it and focusing on other things, which is what every show needs. But this Danielle Lindsay thing has been brewing for weeks and it finally hit ahead and it's going to be an all-out war for the rest of the season, it seems like.
Do you just want to jump right to that?
I think so, because the rest of the episode was rather pleasant. I mean, even
really
the conversation
was.
between Paige and Craig is so much better now when he doesn't have Austin. We don't have to talk about it every time.
Craig is just great when he's not when he's not a mainstay, when he is a friend of, if you will. That's when we fell in love with Craig and Paige was Summer House last year.
Yeah.
Remember? Like we did the power rankings.
We did the power rankings, but we get a little bit of an insight into how it's going, and you can tell that it's pressing more on Craig than Paige. And maybe they're just processing differently, but Craig is sitting there like, you know, I live in Charleston. We haven't really talked about it, but I do want to move forward. And Paige is like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get engaged right now. Are you going to propose to me like next week?
She did say if you asked me today with a hey string, I would say yeah, which I appreciated.
I appreciated that, but she, you know, they haven't really thought about it. So they did it in a good way. They sat down together. They were both positive, and it was just nice to see because we like to see good relationships move forward, and it seems like that one is moving forward. We get to see Lindsay and Carl are moving forward, and we find out that they do get engaged by the end of the summer. So all of that is great. The only non-great thing is Lindsay and Danielle.
Yeah, and it starts to kind of brew. We get Luke is back, and here's the funny thing. And maybe I got to start being a little bit more gentle. I don't know. But I haven't been a Luke fan. You know that. When he came back, I was like, fuck yeah, Luke. I was like, oh, wow.
I think
I'm
that's just
happy to
because
see
the
him.
show's been a little lacking, and we know we're a little nostalgic. So we see somebody like Luke pop in, and it reminds us of like the fun times. Like last year, Kyle was screaming at Luke and was going after him.
Forgot about
and
that.
Luke was right back at him. So that kind of reminded me of the fun times, even though that was a fight.
That are the good times. Him fighting with Kyle drunk.
And trying to start a fire and not working.
Trying to build an igloo, stopping halfway, tapping trees. I haven't seen maple syrup yet. To his credit, I guess he owns a maple syrup company, so maybe I need to let off of that one. But I don't think I'm going to.
I don't think he's tapping trees somewhere in Canada.
You know what? Luke, if you hear this, come on the show, because maybe I'm giving him the short end of the stick. Wow, look at me. I've come a long way.
Real change.
Thanks, thanks, Bravo. Thanks, Summer House. Let's get back on track. So he's sitting there talking to Lindsay, and she kind of has a chance to. She has a confidant in Luke. She always has, probably always will. She sits down with him and talks about the Danielle situation, gives him like the whole rundown. The one point that Lindsay made that I think needs to be stressed the most to anybody that's on Team Danielle here, and there seems to be quite a few. It seems like Danielle wants to hold her back so that she can continue to have a buddy.
Yeah.
That's what she says to Luke.
Yep.
I think that's been my stance the whole time. Do I see how it could be, and this is kind of going into the fight as well that they have, but do I see how Lindsay may not be the most attentive friend? Okay, yeah, I could definitely see that. Is that fucked up? Yeah, it should go both ways for sure. And I'm sure that it's been much more one-sided on Danielle's part, especially now, right? But at the same time, you have to expect this dynamic to change. You cannot get up in arms because she's spending more time with Carl and less time with you. It's not logical. Like when you started dating Colleen, we didn't golf 4 times a week anymore. Like we didn't do certain things, and not in like a negative way, just because 1, want to spend time with your significant other. 2, it's important to spend time together without a third party.
Yeah.
And 3, I don't expect us to still have that same level of, we're going to go do this because you're in a relationship.
Yeah, there's a life outside of your friends after that. And
Correct.
Danielle should, and I think this kind of just points to it, Danielle should also have that. She should understand that. And she doesn't have that because of what her relationship is like with Robert. And obviously we come to find out that they are not together anymore. And it was leading in that direction. Every instance that we see with her and Robert, he's running to go to work or avoiding the real conversation that she wants to have, or everything across the board. And she's unhappy. And she tells as many people that.
She tells
it's not
everybody.
Working. Yeah. Like this long distance thing is not working. I barely see him. I barely get to talk to him. And when I do see him, he wants to have fun and relax. And I understand that. And it's a really hard position to be in. We get that. Just focus on that. And maybe we'll sympathize with you. Instead, you lean into how Lindsay should be giving you more time and she should be your friend more. She's not understanding and she's completely missing the point. So I don't understand people who are on Danielle's side on this one.
I don't get it either. And then Lindsay says to Danielle, you talk to everybody else about this shit except for me.
Yeah.
And that was I didn't even think about that.
Oh, yeah. She made a mockery of like their relationship. She said that they're much closer and they're moving way too fast.
It's a fairy tale.
Yeah. Like she made a huge stink of Carl and Lindsay's relationship. Of course Lindsay's going to feel some type of way.
You've been talking shit behind her back as her quote-unquote alleged best friend, and you hid it behind the guise of you saying a best friend's supposed to be hard on their best friend. Like, that's not what that means, dude. It doesn't mean going to talk shit, and then when you're called out on it, standing firm and saying, yeah, I said that because I care about you. It's like, what are you talking about? You talked smack and got caught, and now you don't know what to do. But Lindsay also brings up feeling attacked at dinner, and Danielle's like, how would you feel attacked? Like, I wasn't attacking you. It's like, you were. This is the one night that Lindsay was doing what you wanted. She's cutting loose, and you're so focused on Montauk because you didn't have a boyfriend there and she did, and you're projecting all your insecurities and bad relationship onto Lindsay and Carl, which is also fucked up. But you did attack her. You made it awkward at the table. You were making faces. You were pretty much saying like, you're not being a good friend anymore. And like, it's so hurtful that there's no reason for you to go to Montauk if Carl's not there. For you to take that at face value and get upset about it, you understand what she's saying. My boyfriend's not there, so going to Montauk at 1 a.m. might not be the best thing for me if I'm going solo.
It was entirely innocent for Lindsay to say that in the first place. If Danielle was a true friend one, she wouldn't have aired her shit out at that table. She would have also pulled her aside and said something quietly like, hey, that kind of hurt my feelings. And look, again, this kind of goes back to the Scheana and Lala thing. If Lindsay then spazzes out and says, well, I don't care about your feelings, I'm in a relationship, like, you need to understand that, then you can be like, okay, this isn't working. That's kind of fucked up. But if she doesn't, you have to give her the chance to do that. You can't just yell in the middle of a group of people because it's embarrassing.
Yep.
And Lindsay's reaction might not be how Lindsay actually feels. She's going to act a little erratic in that moment. And I thought that she handled herself pretty well in that moment as well.
She's been handling herself well. That's why I get so confused. And I think that it goes back to the Lindsay hate that's been brewing for so long. And that's the funniest part. We're not like, or have not been in the past, like big Lindsay fans.
No,
we're
if
just
anything,
calling it like we see it.
I've been more on Danielle's side. I thought that Danielle was way more fun than Lindsay is. And look, it changed.
It's just
things change. It's
Lindsay,
okay.
Lindsay has done a good job at not going off the rails and staying fairly level-headed while being attacked by her quote-unquote best friend. I'm taking it at that. I'm taking it for this season. Everyone throwing shade about the past. We're watching Carl and Lindsay hopefully try to be better. They're both trying to be better. And yet here we are saying Lindsay's the fucking problem because she's focusing on her relationship. It doesn't compute. The math ain't mathin' and my head hurts.
Mathin'. And when the math ain't math, I don't know.
Go take a bath.
Oh.
Last but not least, we are back in Jersey and
RHONJ.
RHONJ, and about to be RHONE with an I because they're going to Ireland this episode.
Hell yeah.
But let's start off. We are at Envy, which is Melissa Gorga's store. And what I thought was a really nice gesture and a really nice moment was not, because she was then on the after show talking shit, and we'll get to that. But Danielle shows up with Bougie Kids, which is her clothing brand, and seems to do pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like she's selling a lot of shit, and it does seem to be a nice moment. I'm like, oh, wow, that's kind of interesting that you have Danielle, who is seemingly a Teresa teammate, kind of vibing with Melissa. I was like, maybe this is a little...
Well, not only that, but Jen was invited.
Jen was there too.
So that seemed like... I thought it was a nice moment. I thought that Melissa was extending an olive branch to that side. Obviously not with Teresa, but maybe with the other two. And saying like, I know that Teresa talks a lot about me and you might have your ideas about who I am, but I'm going to do something nice for you. So I thought it was actually a pretty good step.
I did too, until I watched the after party or the after show, and Melissa is quoted saying, yeah, and Danielle shows up like looking all disheveled and like starts making
Well,
fun
I
of
think
her.
that something must have happened, and we alluded to this with Zach the other day when we did his live. Something must have happened towards the end of this season with Danielle and Melissa. So now she feels this type of way. But in that moment, I took it as a genuine gesture.
I thought it was like a sweet scene. I was like, wow, cool. Everyone's getting along. We're selling clothes. Like, this is great. But Danielle goes into like the fuda of it all, and she calls her a rat, which, you know, is damning. You're not supposed to call people rats.
Nope, not in Jersey.
No, hell no, not in Jersey. But we're pretty much just getting ready to go to Ireland. We're watching everybody in their own respective homes kind of planning for this trip. We get to see Dolores with Paul's family. I love his family. They're great. They could be on every week.
I love that they did like a flip-flop. Like his family came in.
Yeah, I know.
Did you notice that his accent changed a little bit? Like he got a little more Irish?
Well, I think that's normal.
I think that's fair. I think you probably sound like you're from Texas when you go down to Texas.
I definitely have more twang when I'm down south. Not intentionally. I think it just happens. You know, it's like people from Philly, I'm sure when they're
like some psychiatric.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a real thing.
But I loved it though, because him with an Irish accent made me like him even more, and I already like him a lot.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's
Definitely doing well.
But the one family that's we need to focus on is Jen and Bill. Of course, why wouldn't we? And they're sitting there discussing the upcoming trip, and I actually thought Bill was at least contributing to the conversation a little bit. He was.
I really don't think so. I think that he.
In the beginning, in the beginning. Let me get to that part. In the beginning, he at least like say, it's the first time I've heard him make a full sentence comment other than just reacting to what she's saying. Like, oh yeah, I think that would be a good idea to avoid Marge.
Yes.
Like that's an actual thought. So I'm giving him a lot of grace saying that he was attentive. He was not attentive the whole conversation. Just at least in that moment, he had a full sentence come out.
I think that's fair too, because even just that little sentence, and it sucks that we have to like hone in on one thing, but that little sentence does show some growth, because I feel like maybe a couple of weeks ago, pre-therapy, whatever, he would have said, well, maybe you should go over to Marge and apologize or just be nice to her.
Yeah.
But now he's actually kind of taking Jen's side because Jen did say, like, I'm just going to avoid Marge the whole time, which she's definitely not going to.
No.
She doesn't. But to say, like, yeah, maybe you should just avoid her is kind of coming in line with your wife's thinking, or at least supporting her.
But he immediately loses all traction and
Yes,
credit
yes,
because
indeed.
it goes way south really quick. She addresses the fucking pool house again. She's like, you spend 4 or 5 hours a day in there. And he's like, what, am I not supposed to be my true self? Like golf, this and that. She's like, you don't golf. You go to the pool house, bro.
Mhm.
Like all I'm asking, and this is so sad when you really break it down to what she's asking for. She's asking to spend time with you. She's asking to spend time with her husband, her life partner, her spouse forever, dude. Like she's not asking for a lot. Come in here and be a dad. Come in here and be a husband. Ask me how my fucking day is, Bill. Don't go jerk off in the pool house and stare at your Lamborghinis like an asshole. Come in here and be part of this fucking family. But he's so
He's jerking off to his Lamborghinis.
he is jerking off to
Yeah.
his Lamborghinis,
Yeah.
guaranteed. Like, I need to see inside of this pool house. What's so great in there that you're ignoring your entire family? And then she finishes it with asking about therapy. He's like, maybe. It's like, dude, at the
I think
very
that maybe-
least.
I had this thought before because when like the early seasons of Summer House, they used to go to the pool house allegedly to go do things that, you know, they didn't want on camera. Fill in the blanks, if you will. Maybe the pool house is kind of out of the question for production and he doesn't want to be on the show unless he's at a party. That
Interesting.
could be part of it, but it sounds like he does this all the time, not just when they're filming the show.
No, it's just his routine.
Yeah.
He gets home from surgeries and then he goes to the pool house until after dinner. Then he comes in. After dinner means kids are going to bed. You don't have any time with your wife. And then you're going to sleep to wake up and do it again the next day.
Exactly.
If you can't look in the mirror, and by the way, Bill, you don't even have to look in the fucking mirror. Just watch the fucking TV. See how big of an asshole you look like. This woman just wants your attention.
Yeah, I think that, and we talked about it with Zach. I think there's a good point to be made here that he just wants the classic version of marriage where
It is. That's
he's
all it
out
is.
there providing for the family. Here's this nice big house. Here's all these nice cars, making sure that the kids are fed and that they're clothed and everything. I give you such a nice life. Like the least you could do is just take care of the kids and I can go do my own thing. Like that's all he wants. He will pop in on his terms alone and he sees nothing wrong with that.
No.
Hopefully he comes around to the idea of at least just showing up sometimes. Like just come in and the end of the conversation just tells you everything that you need. When Jen says, I'm going to Ireland, so you're going to have to watch the kids for a few days. And he says, your kids are mine. Like, come
Our
on, dude.
kids, you dipshit.
Yeah.
And
like,
by the way, bad joke in the moment.
no, yeah.
She's saying that you're unattentive and now you're saying their kids
he
aren't your
doesn't
kids.
take it seriously, and that's the main problem.
It's fucking brutal, and I feel really bad for Jen. And of course, she's acting out elsewhere. Her home life sucks because her husband sucks. But we're in Ireland. We arrive with 35 bags, 6 bags per woman. They are severely overpacked. It's pretty funny. But, oh, actually, you know what? This brings me back to something from Vanderpump.
What?
Do you remember when Christina Kelly was getting ready for the last dinner and all she had was a white dress?
Yeah.
Do you think at some point she expected to be invited to a wedding function? So she packed a white dress accordingly?
Possibly. Maybe she thought that sit down with Scheana was going to get her
Like a little
invited
like
to
last
the wedding
minute
party.
invite? Like, hey,
Well,
come
because
to the
they also
party?
wore all the people wore white to the wedding.
That's what I'm
too.
saying. No, the party was a white party.
Yeah, the party was a white party.
was a
but
white
the
party.
people- like James wore a white T-shirt.
Oh, that's true. At the wedding, too.
And Allie wore a white
Wow.
dress.
Yo, she definitely thought she was going to get the last
Oh
minute
my
invite.
God,
Boom.
great point.
Woo! And that's
Sorry
it
for anybody who just skipped all of the Vanderpump, which was 75% of the show. Here you go.
Show's over.
Yep.
I fucking nailed it. Bye. But no, they got 30 bags and they're headed to Ballinlow. And we get Fessler's an enigma. She is
really
an
is. She's
absolute enigma.
Fucking great.
I
as a
love her because she just comes out of the woodwork and she's like, oh yeah, I fucked James Gandolfini. He was
Sex with
inside
Tony
me.
Soprano.
Tony
More than once,
Soprano.
she said.
That's a big drop. Like there's some drops that you could say.
It was awesome. She was like, he took me to an S&M bar and then we went back to his apartment and we had sex.
I was like,
What?
what the fuck? Are you in 50 Shades of Grey with Tony Soprano? Because I'm here for it. Do we have footage?
God.
Like, that's insane.
No.
That's crazy, though. That's such a great drive. You could have said 1,000 other celebrities. I would have been like, meh, all right, whatever. But James Gandolfini is a big drop.
And honestly, if we know anything about these housewife shows, we know that the Sprinter van conversations can get weird and really bad really fast.
Oh, yeah.
So for something like this to happen where everybody's just completely shook, including us,
Everybody was rattled.
There's no way that was the best Sprinter van conversation I've ever heard.
It was phenomenal.
Incredible.
Phenomenal. Fessler, fantastic.
Well done.
Bravo. We get to Ballinlow, which is a fun name to say. I like Ballinlow.
You're doing a good job.
Castle.
Yeah.
I can say words. It's just usernames. Do not paint me in that light, all right? I'm an intelligent person. At least I think so. But we're at Ballinlow, and they're having lunch, and it was interesting. Teresa and Melissa sit down next to each other, and they're actually kikiing a little
Nice
bit.
and chummy. Yeah.
I know. Everything seems copacetic. It looks good. And, of course, then the drama starts a little bit because Dolores has to say, why don't we keep this trip a little bit lighter, a little bit drama-free? It's a nice place. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Anytime a housewife says this in any franchise across the board, within minutes there's going to be drama.
Absolutely.
So I wonder if they have earpieces in and the producer's like, and go. And she has to then say the question because, and I know I'm playing the producer card now, that's your job, but it's just hysterical. And instantly shit start getting stirred up because we get back to the cup reading and Jen calls out Jackie. She's like, at least be respectful. Because you weren't respectful at all during that fucking cup reading. You were calling her out. I said it last week. I said during the cup reading, by saying those things, just keep them to yourself until the psychic medium leaves because you're insulting her work.
Well, Jen, in a way, insulted the work by talking to her beforehand.
That was the funniest thing.
That's like the hypocritical aspect of it, where it's I'm not siding with Jackie by any way because I do think that she does need to be respectful of the cup reader, which, by the way, is definitely more accurate than astrology.
Scientifically
proven by me. But yes, Jackie was disrespectful, but Jen was also super disrespectful because if you're watching this, like, that woman has a chance to book parties in the future just from fans of Jersey. Now she doesn't.
No, she hosed her.
People are going to be like, well, this is an absolute sham. Why would I pay for this?
Yeah, she got smoked.
So that's really sucks. And it's all Jen's fault. But I did think that there was...
Well, Teresa's the one that brought it up.
I know.
Which is even funnier. She threw Jen under the bus. I was like,
well, I mean, but we already knew it was a sham. So
yeah.
It's not like she's going to get booked in the future. But I do think that Jen, one, she's been having a great season. Two, it shows a little bit of a growth.
It does. Okay.
Where she admitted, like, oh shit, like maybe I did.
I don't falter there because to all of her shortcomings, no, I'm saying don't falter by saying it's the first time she's done that with growth. To her credit, when she gets called out, she does say, like, yeah, I know I said that. Like, she's pretty good about getting called out on her own shit.
I feel like not when Marge is attacking her, though.
Fair.
This time, I think she might be getting used to Marge coming after her.
All right, yeah.
She's getting a little more comfortable with that, which kudos to her, because if Marge was yelling at me every day, I would probably go deaf.
I would leave.
I would choose deaf.
I would quit the show. I'd be out. I can't do this.
I can't. My ears can't take it
it's
anymore.
So shrill.
You
know, it's just like it cuts. It cuts. I can hear it. I can hear it right now.
Yep.
You know what? It's a good time to break the noise. I just missed doing that from Miami.
R.I.P. Miami.
But that's when the Laura shit comes back up. And Jackie with my favorite one-liner of the season. She's the most incredible person. Not uncredible, not non-credible, incredible. You just complimented her, Jackie, by trying to, like, interject. Also, why is Jackie on the trip? Why is she there?
They're doing a Miami thing. Honestly.
She's the Marisol?
The friends.
Don't.
She's the Marisol and Kiki is Jen Fest.
Let me ask you this genuinely. Like, I want you to take out, like, who you stand for or who you like and don't like. What does she bring to the table? What has she brought to the table up until this point?
And I'm trying to think of it like as a logical standpoint, like maybe she evens the teams a little bit. No, because Marge's team outweighs Teresa's team at this point. So if anything, you're just stacking one side or the other. Jackie brings nothing to the table, literally and physically.
It's just, I haven't seen her do anything yet. None of her comments have landed. She didn't even say the word right there. Like, she just seems to be trying to latch on to whoever else is doing something and throw in her 2 cents. But it's always kind of, it's never heard. It's always in the background and it's always unnecessary. Like,
I'm just happy that it seems like she's cooled off on Danielle a little bit. Maybe it comes back. I hope not, but it seems like it's dead for now, which I'm okay with.
I agree. But that's when it all happens. This is when the bomb gets dropped. And Jen's with Danielle in their room getting ready. And Danny's kind of fishing. And I call her Danny because we're tight. Danny's fishing for what this news is that Laura gave her. What is this big bomb that you're supposed to drop? Like, just tell me. And Jen's like, no, I can't. I promised I wouldn't, but it's awful. It's life changing. It's life ruining. It's something similar happened to me. At no point is she planning on not telling Danielle. She's just doing this to save face. She's just waiting for like another minute to drop the bomb. Yep. But she had every intention of doing this because it weirdly is payback against Marge, even though it's about Melissa, which is really strange how that worked out because Melissa's getting thrown under the bus, but because Marge is the one that presented this info to the group, it's kind of a slight against Marge. Yes. So this is Jen's chance to throw it back at Marge with a cheating allegation, even though Marge isn't technically involved.
Yes.
So the allegation comes out. Jen finally drops the bomb and says, at some point, one of Marge's friends or producers or somebody that works with Marge opened up a back door of a car, and Melissa was in there with a very handsome man,
Nick is what we're going
Nick.
with.
His name is
Zach says, yes.
I don't know why I said Nicky.
Nick, and then a very Italian last name is all I got.
So Nick allegedly was in the back seat with Melissa. Do you think anything happened?
Oddly enough, like, I can't see her cheating on Joe. I could kind of see Joe cheating on her, but even still, I don't think that either of them would cheat on. So I think that it's probably just like a source that was like 2 or 3 times removed from Marge, and by the time it got there, because Marge, let's face it, she has an arsenal, and people know that she has an arsenal, so people deliver her information and rumors, so she holds on to them. If she's going to tell somebody who's as incredible as Laura, you got to know it's going to come back on you at some point, so don't tell somebody like Laura. I don't know. I don't think so, honestly. I don't really either. Don't think so.
I agree with what you said at first. I just don't see her cheating on Joe.
No.
For all of their whatever, they do seem to be a team in all their bullshit. So, like, I just don't see it. I don't think it happened. I think maybe it was somewhat of a sketchy situation. Maybe they just got caught at the wrong time where it looked like something was going on, and then, as you said, source once, twice, 3 times removed, and now we got a different story.
Apparently the guy works for them.
See, that also changes things.
Yeah, he could be in the car with her. Like, maybe it shouldn't have, but everything could have gotten twisted. Like, this could have been at 11 a.m. They could have been somewhere else. Like, who the fuck knows? By the time it gets to Marge, and then also by the time it goes from Marge to Laura, and then Laura to Jen/Teresa.
Yeah.
Everything could have changed. The entire situation. This guy may not, I mean, he exists, but he may not have even been there in that moment in time. Who the hell knows?
I would like to know more, and I'm sure now that it's quote-unquote public knowledge, not that it hasn't been for a long time. Now that it's on TV, I'm sure the Bravo sleuths are going to start digging.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll find something.
I mean, Team Teresa is, you get the character development of Danielle, who was completely blindsided by Fuda.
Yeah.
She did not expect that at all, and she's scrambling a little bit and trying to get some information so that she is not cornered in the near future, if you will.
Right.
She gets information from Jen. Now, Jen and Teresa could have been planning, like, how are we going to let this out? Like, when do we let this out?
They definitely
What's going to happen? They are presented with an opportunity. Let's give it to Danielle, the new potential hothead, who might be in a situation where she needs to blurt this out. And then there you go.
I don't see Danielle being the one to break the news.
I think it is.
You think she's going to?
Absolutely. I think the way that you can see Melissa on Watch What Happens Live.
Oh, you think that's what it was?
Ripping Danielle apart.
All right.
I think she knows that she's the one who brought this to light.
Okay. That makes more sense. I like that theory now. Thank you for tying that together for me. I appreciate you.
That's what I'm here for.
But we get to the bachelorette party, and Channing Taming is there. I love when she says
thought
shit
that I thought the peacock skipped on me. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Channing Tatum?
Channing Tatum.
Pardon me? Channing Tatum, right?
Channing Tatum.
But this is where Danny's craftier than I thought, because she says to Melissa, like, hey, let me take a picture of my boobs and like up close, and do you think that Joe would know? And hands the phone back, and it's it's a funny joke, whatever. And Joe's like, who the fuck is that? It goes to her confessional, and she's like, okay, I can breathe a little bit because he can recognize like that wasn't her, and like that was a little litmus test to see kind of how shady Joe was.
An interesting litmus test.
It was a very
still
interesting
a text from Melissa.
Yeah, I know.
It's not like Danielle texted him from her phone.
Right. I mean, there was more that they could have done there, but it is interesting that she like has the wherewithal to kind of like move some chess pieces slightly and be like, let me see. Let me just see.
Test out this new information.
Yeah, let me test this out. So I like that. That shows promise that she's starting to play the game a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I'm still firmly Team Danielle. I still think she's the future. So I'm rooting for it. But of course, we have to go back to the Melissa's mom shit. Not getting invited to the wedding is how this episode ends. And Teresa's like, had you just told me, she would have been invited. I would have had no issue with it if you just called me. Melissa, valid counterpoints, like, what are you talking about? You said earlier on, like, no, there was a history there, so clearly you didn't want her there. So Teresa puts her foot in her mouth. Now, I think the biggest thing with this whole dilemma, this whole invite your mom, don't invite your mom, no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that pertinent to the show. It's not that pertinent to the wedding. They seem to be holding on to this as like a last-ditch effort. Like, this is more drama between us. Let's keep throwing this at each other. It's like, I don't even think that your mom cares. I don't think that she's bothered that she's not invited. She didn't seem to be. So why are we continuing to make this into something that it's not?
I don't really know. I do like that they did dwindle it down to
Yeah.
even Melissa and Joe going, because you get Jen that blurts out like, you were invited obligatory. Like, okay, no, but I mean, like, we were all thinking it.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, yes, Melissa and Teresa are not in a good place. Joe and Teresa are not in a good place. There's a chance that if you weren't related, that you wouldn't be invited to this
There's
wedding.
not
So
a
yes, there
chance
is an
you
obligation
wouldn't-
there.
You wouldn't be invited.
The obligation does not extend to then your family.
No.
That's just not how that works out. So Jen is correct. Is it funny that she blurted it out in the middle of the table and everybody's like, what the fuck, Jen?
It's like one of
Yes.
those things you don't say out loud. And to go
Yeah.
back to Vanderpump as well, like with the Lala stuff, when she says, like, this isn't the most important thing in everyone else's life.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we know.
Keep that to yourself.
Everybody knows, but you just don't say it because it's fucking mean.
No, yeah, it's a really good point. And I think we're starting to see, and the reason that I like these trips and the reason that I like this trip specifically for Jersey is the husbands are not there. So we get the women that have to deal with it on their own. They can't escape. You can't go somewhere else. You're going to be right on top of each other at all times. So figure it the fuck out. And we will see, with no support system out there, there's no Louie, there's no Joey, there's no anyone else. Melissa and Teresa have to figure it out. And we already started to see Teresa putting her foot in her mouth immediately, already saying something that she didn't mean to say, that she already said at Fuda's house. There's a lot going on there to keep track of, especially when you're lying about your feelings. So you're going to get caught in a lie. Whoever can capitalize on that is going to win this battle. So we'll see.
It's well said.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish Jersey with something that I thought would be kind of fun.
Okay.
Because they finished the episode with a limerick off.
Okay.
So we're going to have a little limerick off.
Is the
to finish
limerick
up
the
Jersey.
575?
No, that's a haiku. Limerick is tempo. So it's there once was a man from blank who blah, 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 da, 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 da.
Oh, God.
Da, 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 da.
I'm not creative enough to do this.
Well, no, you got to try. All right, I'll go first.
This is your segment. You probably already have
I
one.
didn't. I was just thinking actually while you were talking.
Mhm.
I was like, fuck, I should have actually thought of one. But I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it about you. I'm going to do my best. All right, here we go. There once was a man named Shooter who went everywhere on a scooter. He talked Bravo with bros. Didn't hang with the hoes. But he looks at porn on computer.
My God.
I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Pretty good. I don't have one ready to roll. I say we just ended with that.
I win.
Yeah, good job.
That takes us to the question portion. This has been a really long episode, so we're going to cut this a little bit short, but we'll answer a few. And I like this one because it'll take a sec, but we'll work on this one together. From eFits07. Okay, gotta know. Power 9 lineup for baseball. Non-housewives. But I'm going to amend this. We can also include housewives. Let's make a batting order of housewives. Who's leading off?
Who seems speedy?
I got Fuda leading off.
Why?
She seems quick.
Okay. All right. We'll start off with Fuda.
Okay, your second hitter is supposed to be your best hitter.
2-hole.
Who's in the 2-hole?
2-hole. I'm gonna put. Yeah, it's hard to not do this without housewives. 2-hole. I'm gonna.
Dudes count too.
I'm gonna throw Karen Huger in the 2-hole.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. 3-hole, I'm going with.
Now, do we think that they're gonna be good at baseball, or is this like
I don't know.
in
Yeah.
entertainment terms?
No. This is. Oh, I don't. I'm going off of good at baseball.
Okay. All right.
3-hitter, I'm going to go with football player. Oh, 3-hole, I'm going with Tiki Barber.
That is a stretch.
Why?
He was on for like a season and
Doesn't
a half.
matter. He's on. 4-hole, go.
God. Frank Catania.
Oh, nice. 5-hole, I'm going with... No, I was going to say Robin, but we've seen her do athletic stuff. And she's... Oh, Whitney. I'm going with Whitney. 5-hole.
Whitney Rose or Whitney?
Whitney Rose.
Okay.
Yeah, she's athletic.
All right. I thought you were talking about Whitney from Southern
No.
Charm.
No.
Nope. All right. 6-hole Craig.
I like that. 7-hole Austin.
Okay. Keep them together.
Yep.
8-hole Lindsay Hubbard.
Like that. 9-hole, we're sticking with Summer House. We're going to turn that lineup over with Andrea.
I love it.
Boom. Done. There's your power 9.
0-162.
Yeah. From M. Holt, thoughts on Melissa Gorga on Watch What Happens Live? There seemed to be tension between the Gorgas and Andy.
Yeah. I think that Andy, let's be honest, for this last year, Andy's been pissed off at other people on Bravo going out of their way to do paywalls and other bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know what this one's really about because I don't think the Gorgas have done a whole lot.
No. So Melissa started it because she got testy when Andy was kind of digging into her a little bit. He was trying to rock the boat.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he wasn't even being that tough on her. We've seen her go in on Teresa way harder than he was with her.
I think the reunion's filming this week too.
Is it?
Next week, yeah.
Well, like she was clapping back at him and he was getting pissed. It's like, what are you doing? You're already on the bubble. Like you're not here for any other reason than Teresa. So like maybe don't fucking make the boss mad.
Yeah, they're so misguided in like what is entertainment though. They probably think that they did a good job.
Oh, that's actually
a few feathers over there at Bravo and make fun of Andy. Like, probably not the good move.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, one more, last one here from Marie L. Manara. Do you think? Shut up. Do you think Teresa is behind Jen bringing up the cheating on camera?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I know what you mean. I don't think she's behind it. I think they were in cahoots about it.
Yeah, I think that I honestly, like I alluded to earlier, I think they talked about bringing it up and like how they can do it. They've always planned on throwing it out there.
Yeah.
It's just being careful about when you do it. So loosely connected. I don't think that she told Jen to tell Danielle. I think that Jen did that on her own.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So cahoots.
Cahoots-ish, yes.
Cahoots-ish.
Cahoots-ish. That's a good username.
But I wouldn't be able to read it. But
Shush.
But
Shannon Tatum.
Damn it, I'm trying to sign off. Shannon Tatum. But that does it for us. Remember, live show 2 weeks, City Winery in Philly. Go to nofilterlive.com to get your tickets now so we can hang out with you then. We're also on Cameo. We just did a Cameo tonight. So if you guys want us to give you a little shout out, a little happy birthday, maybe talk some smack about Bravo, or convince your significant other to watch Bravo, we are more than happy to do so.
Yeah. Or you want to see Steel Jorts?
Oh, if you ask to see my jorts in a non-creepy, totally platonic, not fucked up way because you're a fan of jorts,
socks on.
Yeah, maybe, but still I would have to mull it over because that's a weird request. That's a weird request. You know what? Don't solicit me like that. I don't appreciate it.
I have no problem with it.
But that's all we got. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. BravBros are out of here.
Bye.
My thing.